better performance in the 2020 KCPE examination than private schools. In contrast to this year, they scooped 10 of the 15 top positions countrywide. This means that they performed even better in the top 5, producing the first 4 with only one candidate from a private school emerging in the 5th position. However, tables were turned this year.
The top candidate for this year's examination is Magata Bruce Mackenzie from Gilgil Hills Academy. He is at position 1 with 428 points.
Traditionally, private schools have dominated while public schools have over the years been characterized by poor performance. Educators outlined that availability of learning resources and proper institutional leadership are some of the reasons that pushed private schools to perform better than their public counterparts.
I really appreciate the school management system, the head teacher Paul, together with the rest of his staff. They have really given us good support system as parents, not just me as an individual.
This year, however, despite free primary education, the Kenya National Examination Council (KNEC) indicated that privately schooled candidates reported a tie of 6 candidates in the 3rd and 4th positions.
And that makes the list of 14, but basically number 1, 2, and 3.
The gender gap between boys and girls sitting national examinations in the country has continued to narrow. Out of estimated 1.2 million candidates who sat for the 2021 examination, 49.72% were girls compared to 50.28% boys. This is a 2.95% increase in the number of female candidates who sat for the KCPE compared to last year.
The focus on girl child education in the country is paying off, with the just released KCPE examination showing the gender gap closing in.
During the 2021 examination, 12 counties registered more females than males. Very strange. Mombasa, Meru, Isiolo, Tharaka Nithi, Nairobi, Uasin Gishu, Busia, Bungoma, Kakamega, Vihiga, Kisumu, and Siaya.
Male and female candidates also increased by 19,934 and 14,905 respectively. The number of candidates who sat for last year's KCPE and were in the appropriate age bracket of 13 to 14 years was 551,920, which represents 45.03% of total candidates.
The number of registered candidates who are below age increased from 26,000 to 33,000. The counties that had the highest entry for these candidates is very strange, and I'm going to read them very carefully. Baringo, Bomet, Kericho, West Pokot, and Nyamira.
This was the highest number, which has been on a steady rise for the last 5 years. The number of registered candidates who were 12 years and below increased from 26,378 in the year 2020 to 33,627 in 2021. The counties which had the highest entry of candidates who were 19 years and above were Turkana at 16.76%, Garissa at 14.44%, Kilifi at 3.41%, Kwale at 8.35%, and Mandera at 6.05%. These counties, except Mandera, recorded a similar trend in the year 2020 KCPE examination. The countries with the highest entry of candidates who were 12 years and below in the 2021 KCPE examination were Baringo at 7.09%, Bomet at 6.51%, Kericho at 6.24%, West Pokot at 5.98%, and Nyamira at 5.90%. These counties, except Nyamira, recorded a similar trend in the 2020 KCPE examination. For Prime Edition, I'm Ben Troyenjue.
The Form 1 placement exercise is expected to be completed within the next 2 weeks. Education Cabinet Secretary Professor George Mboya, while announcing the 2021 Kenya Certificate of Primary Education results, urged those involved in the Form 1 selection exercise to do so within the given timelines. Frederick Mwoki reports.
With the KCPE examination results out, the next stage is Form 1 selection and transition. Education Cabinet Secretary Professor George Mboya saying all the candidates, in spite of their performance, will join secondary school. Mboya revealing that Form 1 selection exercise should be through in fortnight.
Already the minister has put in place measures to ensure that the selection exercise is conducted soonest, and I dare say that given within 2 weeks I would be wanting to know whether it is complete or not.
The Education Cabinet Secretary at the same time said schools will resume the traditional education calendar starting January 2023 after the COVID-19 pandemic that disrupted the education calendar for months.
The administration of the December 22 examination will effectively mark the end of the rearranged academic calendar that was forced upon us by an external factor, COVID-19. Occasioning the prolonged closure in 2020. Beginning of January 2023, our country will go back to the traditional academic calendar starting in January and ending in November of each year.
The 2021 KCPE being the last under the current Jubilee government and the second last before the first CBC system assessment test.
As a government, we have done everything possible to midwife the transition of 844 to CBC. So far, the CBC has successfully been implemented up to grade 5. Next month, by the grace of God, the pioneers will join grade 6 and sit for their first national assessment later this year.
Mboya urged the forthcoming government to take the education sector to the next level. The year 2022 will go down in history as having 4 national examinations written within a 1 academic year. Frederick Mwoki for Prime Edition.
Well, that story brings us to our first break right here on KBC Prime Edition.
Absolutely. And tonight we are asking you to tell us who you are celebrating in the just released the 2021 KCPE results. Tom, I'm celebrating Mwandoya Mkoli. Rebecca, she scored 419 marks.
Oh, that's great. I'm celebrating all the candidates, including the first one who emerged amongst equals.
Absolutely. Stay with us. We have that and more coming up right here on Prime Edition.
Basi sisi tulipomaliza tukaja taratibu polepole tukisherehekea, basi kukawa na accident hapa makutano ya njia ya Masako na Mombasa Road. The vehicle also avoiding, the other one was also pushing into the same direction. So while 2 vehicles hit each other, eventually we rolled and landed in a ditch by Mabati. Kienda huko utaona, isipokuwa pale tulibomoa.
Nilipoanza kukohoa, kuhisi maumivu kwa kifua, uchovu mwilini, joto jingi mwilini, kutokwa na jasho jingi usiku, kukosa hamu ya chakula na kupoteza uzito haraka. Nilipimwa hospitalini, kabainika nilikuwa na TB.
Nilianza matibabu ya TB mara moja. Nilimeza dawa zangu bila kukosa kwa muda unaofaa, kama nilivyoshauriwa na daktari.
Ugonjwa wa TB sio uchawi. Mtu yeyote yule anaweza kupatwa na ugonjwa huu, lakini ukimeza dawa vizuri, TB inatiba.
Nilitibiwa TB, nikapona na niko sawa.
TB inatiba. Pata kupata matibabu bila malipo katika hospitali zote za umma. Tujijali, tumalize TB. Ujumbe huu umeletwa kwako na Wizara ya Afya na washirika wake.
The management, staff and students of Judicial School wish to convey our congratulatory message to the KCPE candidates on their well-deserved success. Well done and congratulations on passing the 2021 KCPE exams.
I'm going to make sure that Mariela gets back everything that you and your family stole from her.
Father Daniel is still in a coma. What? He's fighting for his life. Nevertheless, his condition is critical. It will lead him to something. If that happens, we go to jail.
Well, in that case, make sure he won't find anything.
Your talent, dedication, and hard work have led you to victory. Judicial School, home of the boy child.
You're watching Prime Edition this Monday night. Welcome back. Let's revisit our top story. Magata Bruce Mackenzie of Gilgil Hills Academy is the 2021 Kenya Certificate of Primary Education Examination top scorer with 428 marks, followed by Momanyi Ashley Kerubo of Makini School Kibos with 427 marks. Releasing the 2021 KCPE results on Monday, Education Cabinet Secretary Professor George Magoha said the integrity of the examination was maintained with no confirmed case of leakage.
While announcing the results, Professor George Magoha said that the overall performance in main grade improved compared to 2020, though the top pupil scored 428 marks compared to last year's 433 marks. 14 candidates took the top 10 slots.
The top candidate for this year's examination is Magata Bruce Mackenzie from Gilgil Hills Academy. He is at position 1 with 428 points. The second candidate is Momanyi Ashley Kerubo from Makini School Kibos with 427 points.
And immediately after the Education Cabinet Secretary's announcement, celebrations marked various parts of the country as candidates who emerged top received the news. Top pupil Bruce Magata Mackenzie from Gilgil Hills Academy celebrated his victory at his home in Rangau, Rongai in Kajiado County.
At first I was shocked, I didn't expect it, but later got overjoyed. I was so happy.
There was something I was doing kwa nyumba wakiendelea ku announce. So wakiendelea ku announce nilikuwa tunategea Magoa malize kueleza, and then akishafungua sasa tutume message, but we didn't get there. Yes.
So how was it?
I got confused. Mimi nilijipata hata nimeanguka chini. I was screaming. I went looking for him. He was not around at that time. So I went looking for him. Hata I could not even explain. Mimi hata I was just crying.
It was also celebrations galore in Makini School, whose Kisumu branch produced second top performer and Nairobi branch secured 6th slot countrywide.
How I prepared for my exams was that it was very hectic because it was a crash program, but with hard work and determination and proper time management, I was able to produce these marks.
As a school, we feel honored. So far, received 40 over 400 marks. We are expecting more.
6 candidates tied in position 3 with 426 marks. One of them was Muteti Chantel of Kitengela International School. The other third-placed pupil was Charity Bunyanze from Holy Family Misiku Girls in Bungoma.
Matokeo haya kweli mbali na kumcha Mungu na kazi yake kutimia, juhudi na jitihada za wanafunzi kushirikiana kwa karibu sana na wazazi kumechangia pakubwa sana ufanisi wa matokeo haya.
Well, congratulations to all those candidates who sat for the KCPE exams, including the ones who topped. Now, the government Monday launched the registration of Boda operators and the issuance of smart riders license in all the 52 Huduma centers across the country. Nairobi County Commissioner Flora Mworoa said the move is aimed at streamlining the transport subsector and promoting road safety as well as security. The subsector has for long suffered effects of rogue riders. Here's that report.
Fresh registration of Boda operators kicked off on Monday across the country. According to Nairobi County Commissioner Flora Mworoa, the exercise, to run for 60 days from the 28th of March to 24th of June, said is part of efforts to push for reforms in the sector. Flora said the sector is critical yet poorly regulated.
Ukiona wale hawafanyi vizuri katikati ya hawa, mnawasema ili waondolewe, kwa sababu nia ya kila mtu ni kujenga nchi ambayo ni nchi mzuri. Hatutaki wale watu ambao wanatumia boda zao kwa uhalifu.
The Nairobi County Boda chairman Nganga Samuel embraced the exercise, saying it will spur investment in the subsector.
Nairobi County tumechukua mikakati ya kuhakikisha members wetu tunawajua hata kwa distance, na diposa kama saizi tuko na hizi QR code ambazo tumepatia kila sub county rangi yao, ambapo kila mwana boda details zake tumeweka hapo.
In Mandera, over 2,000 Boda riders were asked to ensure they register. Mandera County Commissioner Onesmus Kiatha said the government is keen on reforming the subsector.
Nataka sisi wote tuelezane, hata wale hawajafika siku ya leo na wale wako manyumbani, kwamba lazima sisi wenyewe tukue register na tuingilie hii kazi, ili hii sector ikuwe very safe kwa kila mmoja na wazazi na kila mtu mwingine.
Kwa serikali atengeneze license kwa free. Zamani hatukuwa na license, sasa tumepata, sasa tunahitaji license kupata license, insurance, kila kitu free.
While overseeing the exercise, Narok County Commissioner Isaac Masinde cautioned Boda operators against unruly behavior.
Tunataka kustreamline mwana boda yoyote ambaye anafanya kazi ya boda, awa anaweza kujulikana katika mtandao ya serikali, awa anajulikana kwa county commissioner, awa anajulikana kwa deputy county commissioner, awa anajulikana mpaka kwa chief.
In Muranga, the county commissioner Karukungumo asked riders to get requisite documents for registration.
Kuna changamoto kwa sababu wengine hawana stakabadhi zile zinatakikana, lakini tunaweza kuwashauri na wanaenda wanatafuta stakabadhi na wanaweza kusaidiwa.
Elsewhere, Boda operators in Kakamega County have been cautioned against being used by politicians to cause mayhem during the electioneering period.
Nataka wale ambao wanaendesha boda wawe na nidhamu ya juu na wasikubali kamwe kutumika na wanasiasa kwa njia mbaya.
Once again, congratulations to all candidates who sat for the 2021 KCPE exams. Let's now shift our focus to politics, and Kenya Kwanza presidential candidate, Deputy President Dr. William Ruto has reiterated that his government will revive the country's economy if he ascends to power. He hit out at his competitors, saying they are only keen on effecting constitutional changes to fulfill their personal interests.
On the last day of his coastal tour, the Deputy President William Ruto took his campaigns to Msambweni constituency, Kwale County. The Kenya Kwanza flag bearer reiterated that what Kenyans need will be provided for by his bottoms-up model and not the BBI option fronted for by his opponents, who he claimed want constitutional reforms to fulfill their selfish interests. Sentiments echoed by those accompanying him, who rallied the locals to make the right decision.
The people of Kenya have decided that this is not a constitutional moment to change the constitution for the benefit of leaders to share positions and power. But this is an economic moment so that every citizen can have their children get a job and every citizen can have access to opportunity to do business, and we can grow enough food. We eliminate hunger in our nation. Wametumia serikali kuchukua poti yenu, kuua biashara zetu, ili tuendelee kuwa watumwa wa familia zao. Tumewaambia watatukoma. Tunasema BBI, hiyo outcome itakayotoka kutoka kotini, sisi tuna imani haitabadilisha Mkenya, kwa sababu Mkenya ameshaamua. Ni Ruto.
BBI is the worst, most dangerous, most divisive and most useless project ever pursued in the history of our country.
Ruto further dismissed claims that he had plans to overthrow the government.
I supported you when your friends, the friends you have today, were against you. Please, I am asking for very little. Please don't allow State House to be used as an avenue for propaganda to spread falsehood that we were involved in anything with a man of Kitendawili to impeach you or to bring down your government. Nothing of that nature. Nothing. And you know it, my friend Mr. President. You know it, that it is not true. You know it is false. And I want to request you, out of humility, that please protect the office of the president so that it doesn't become an arena or theater for falsehood, propaganda, and planting seeds of division of the people of Kenya.
The leaders drummed up support from Mvuria's deputy Fatma Achani to succeed him, as Mshenga Ruga was given UDA's direct nomination to vie for the senatorial seat.
Naomba kwa heshima mchague Mama Achani akuwe gavana wa Kwale.
Mheshimiwa Fatma Achani vipindi viwili amekuwa naibu wangu. Uzoefu anao hana, uaminifu anao hana. Mama yaweza hawezi.
For Prime Edition from Kwale County, I am Anmburu.
Well, as Kenya Kwanza campaigned in Sambweni, Orange Democratic Movement Party leader Raila Odinga was in Kakamega, where he pledged to prioritize agriculture, as agriculture should the Azimio la Umoja coalition form the next government. That story is coming a little later on, but first let's move into the corridors of justice. Zakaria Obadia Nyaora, the main suspect, you remember, who was arrested in connection to the assault of a female motorist along Wangari Maathai Road last month, has denied 3 charges in relation to the incident. 16 other suspects in the case were, however, set free for lack of sufficient evidence.
The 16 suspects who had been arrested in connection to the February 4th assault on the female motorist were on Monday set free. The prosecution said they didn't have enough evidence against them. The main suspect, Zakaria Obadia Nyaora, also pleaded not guilty to 3 counts of robbery with violence, sexual assault and malicious damage to property. His bail application is still pending at the court. Meanwhile, a forensic expert and cybersecurity analyst has said that Nandi Senator Samson Cherargei uttered remarks that amounted to incitement of the public. Appearing before Chief Magistrate Wendy Micheni for cross-examination, Wycliffe Mwatu said he arrived at the finding from thorough investigations at the National Cohesion and Integration Commission on the remarks made by the senator in Kiswahili and English and some spoken in Kalenjin language.
In Kalenjin language, which the transcription which was done, that will be read out, but I can read a few of the English part which were being transcribed.
The witness read to the court some of the comments made by the members of the public on social media platforms in reaction to the remarks Cherargei made in 2019 and confirmed that the accounts of respondents were legitimate and not pseudo accounts. He also produced a DVD in court containing all the utterances made by the senator as evidence. More witnesses are expected to take to the stand when the case resumes on 29th March. And finally, a city businessman has been released on a bond of 2 million shillings or a 1 million shillings cash bail after denying 2 counts of forgery and obtaining credit by false pretense.
Granted a bond of 2 million shillings with 1 surety for a cash bail of 1 million with a contact person. Court number 2, the 7th of April.
Harihara Ganapathy is alleged to have forged a letter by the project manager of Trademark East Africa to obtain an invoice discounting loan of 25 million shillings from HFC on 30th July 2020 in Nairobi. Ganapathy denied the charges before Chief Magistrate Wendy Micheni, who set April 7th as the mentioned date for the case. Lynn Chilo for Prime Edition.
Well, Karen Kibet is on standby alongside Betty Kiptum to bring us the day's sports as well as the day's business. We're going to take a short break. At this point, what is the online family saying?
Absolutely. And tonight we are celebrating all candidates who sat for the 2021 KCPE exams. We were asking you to tell us who you celebrate tonight and what marks they scored. James Kyalo celebrating my daughter, Lucia Mwikali, who scored 384 marks at Mwatate Junior Academy. And then Dan says that my sister Faith Ndanu scored 389 marks. Keep those comments coming in. Stay with us.
Do you have a news story to share with KBC? Get in touch swiftly on email news@kbc.co.ke or call 0723 892 654 or 0734 780 124.
Tonight, we have the sickest, the dopest playlist.
Fashion High Tea is an annual high-profile event that celebrates local and international clothing and accessories brands.
Good evening and thank you for staying with Prime Edition. My name is Betty Kiptum. Let's get into the business news now. Kenyans will have to wait a little longer before the second batch of the 15% electricity bill reduction is effected. Energy Principal Secretary Gordon Kihalangwa says the electricity bill reduction that was expected before the end of this month has been put on hold until negotiations between the government and independent power producers are finalized.
The second phase of power reduction that was supposed to be announced this month has been postponed to allow finalization of the engagement between the independent power producers and the government. According to the government, the negotiation of the power purchasing agreement will center around reduction of capacity charge that has seen Kenya Power pay half of its purchase cost that stood at 89 billion shillings last year to capacity charge payments.
There could be certain areas which have gaps which are either not fair to the country, or some things that are more or less favoring the particular IPP than the government.
The discussions with the 77 independent power producers It's also expected to consider using the shilling as the base currency as opposed to the dollar.
Government has actually been preparing to begin the renegotiation of the PPAs, and I believe they'll be addressing a plethora of things.
This as the Ministry of Energy says they are close to licensing 3 additional IPPs that will generate additional power to the national grid at lower tariffs, with the review of 327 power generators who have expressed interest in generating power in the country ongoing.
Before you begin your project, we must first of all agree on a tariff. And I want to tell you, the tariff that we'll be going for will not be more than 5 cents. 5 cents.
Kenya has an installed capacity of 2,840 megawatts against a peak demand of 1,926 megawatts. Benson Droba reporting for Prime Edition.
Now, an acute shortage of fuel has hit parts of the North Rift and Western Kenya in what the Energy and Petroleum Regulatory Authority attributes to unprecedented logistical constraints. EPRA says most independent petroleum dealers ran out of stock. A spot check revealed that most petrol stations did not have the commodity, with a few that had, witnessing long queues and chaos as buyers scrambled for the commodity. While assuring that there is enough stock in the country, EPRA says the government is working on restoring fuel supplies in the affected areas.
Wana bodaboda wote wamesimamisha mapikipiki kwa sababu hakuna mafuta.
In the coming days, I don't think there will be any much changes because we will still be dry and the community here will still be suffering.
Now, moving on, the Central Bank of Kenya has temporarily barred Ecobank Kenya Limited from foreign exchange trade over unsafe trading practices and breach of forex guidelines. CBK says the lender had concluded a forex transaction contrary to the prudential guidelines on foreign exchange exposure limits. Ecobank is also to reverse the number of additional exposures that were created as a result of the regulatory breach.
A statement by the Central Bank of Kenya indicates that a recently concluded investigation into Ecobank's malpractices found it guilty of not having sufficient robust risk control measures to prevent breaches of their foreign exchange exposure limits or the inaccurate reporting of their position. Central Bank of Kenya probed the bank for an immediate remedial course of action to ensure that the operational lapses that led to the non-compliance were addressed, as well as the adherence to orderly conduct as stipulated in CBK's guidelines on foreign exchange. The lender will halt forex trade for a week until April 4th, 2022, and will not be allowed to transact in the interbank foreign exchange market. CBK has, however, allowed Ecobank to conclude all committed transactions as of March 28, 2022. All committed transactions as of March 28th this year were settled as the lender acknowledged its obligations as an authorized foreign exchange dealer and its commitments to address the underlying issues. Ndutamo Kami for Prime Edition.
Now, Kenyans are sending each other about 12.25 billion shillings daily on the mobile money transfer platform as more subscribe to the service mainly for convenience. This is according to the latest data from the Communications Authority of Kenya that indicates that the value of person-to-person cash transfers on the mobile money platform increased 4.2% to 1.13 trillion shillings in the last 3 months of last year.
The latest data from the Communications Authority of Kenya indicates that the number of mobile money subscriptions between October and December 2021 grew marginally by 1.8% to 35.2 million from 34.5 million in September. The value of persons-to-persons transfer over mobile money platforms hit 1.13 trillion shillings during the 3 months to December 2021 compared to 1.08 trillion shillings. The data also indicates that Kenyans are spending 14.21 billion shillings daily buying goods and services from businesses that have a mobile money pay bill or buy goods business number. In addition, businesses are on a daily basis transferring 9.79 billion shillings to customers. In terms of business-to-business mobile money transfer, the value has hit an average of 23.4 billion shillings daily. The value of government-to-citizen transfers, however, declined by 48.6% to 900 269 million shillings during the reference period due to a reduction in COVID-19 relief funds disbursement by the government. As at 31st December 2021, the number of active mobile SIM subscriptions increased marginally by 30 basis points to 65.08 million when compared to 64.8 million subscriptions recorded in September last year. The total number of mobile phone devices connected to mobile networks was 59.58 million, out of which 33.06 million were feature phones and 26.51 million smartphones. The total mobile broadband subscriptions are at 28.36 million, while at least 94% of the Kenyan population is covered by 4G network. Caroline Jenga for Prime Edition.
And Agriculture Cabinet Secretary Peter Munya is urging politicians to depoliticize the issue of fertilizer prices, saying that the market is controlled by other factors that are beyond the Kenyan government. Munya says while Kenya relies on importation of fertilizer or its key raw materials, the government is working on modalities to get the key fertilizer components locally so as to reduce prices.
There has been an outcry about high fertilizer prices that have risen to as high as 7,000 shillings for a 50 kg bag. This has been blamed on the shipping challenges caused by the COVID-19 disruptions, which has been aggravated by the ongoing tensions between Russia and Ukraine.
Kwa sababu ya disruptions zile zililetwa na hii ugonjwa ya COVID-19, cost ya transport, kubeba bitu kutoka huko nje ikaenda zikakuwa triple. Vita ikaja huko Russia, ile inaendelea saa hii Russia na Ukraine, tunafuata fertilizer pia huko, hiyo yote ikachangia kuweka bei juu.
To address such fertilizer price fluctuations, Agriculture Cabinet Secretary Peter Munya says the government is working on a long-term plan that will keep the cost of fertilizer affordable by ensuring key raw materials are sourced locally.
Fertilizer hakuna Kenya, tunanunua nje. Na hatuna control ya bei huko nje. Natoka nje ya Kenya. Ile itatuletea solution ya kudumu ni kutafuta raw materials hapa Kenya to set up factories zetu sisi wenyewe za kutoa fertilizer.
The Kenya Tea Development Agency projects higher earnings this year due to the improved tea quality, reduced cost of production and improved prices in the market.
Tunaendekeza wakulima wetu waendelee kuinua hali ya quality ya majani yetu, kwa sababu wale wanakunywa majani yetu wanataka chai ambayo ni ya quality. Hii ni kati ya mambo ambayo tunafanya reforms.
KTDA Chairman David Choho, however, notes that the tension between Russia and Ukraine has affected tea sales.
Well, that's it for the business news this evening. I now hand you back to Tom for some more news.
Many thanks indeed, Betty Kiptum. Orange Democratic Movement Party leader Raila Odinga has pledged to prioritize agriculture should the Azimio in Umoja coalition form the next government. The Azimio flag bearer, who ended a 4-day tour of Western Kenya region, said that his government will create an enabling environment for smart agriculture to thrive to boost the country's food security. Wycliffe Okech puts that story into perspective.
The ODM party leader, while promising to lower the prices of basic commodities, took a swipe at his opponents in the Kenya Kwanza that he said have nothing to offer Kenyans.
Hao wamezidi kila mara kwa mara kutoa ahadi. Ahadi wametoa mpaka sasa wamechoka. Waliambia vijana wetu ati ndani ya siku mwezi 6 kila mtoto anakuwa na laptop. Tunakumbuka? 2013 tunakumbuka? Hiyo laptop uliona?
Nilipimwa hospitalini, kabainika nilikuwa na TB.
Nilianza matibabu ya TB mara moja. Nilimeza dawa zangu bila kukosa kwa muda unaofaa.
kama nilivyoshauriwa na daktari.
Pata matibabu bila malipo katika hospitali zote za umma. Tujijali, tumalize TB. Ujumbe huu umeletwa kwako na Wizara ya Afya na washirika wake.
Welcome back. Thank you for keeping it Prime Edition. Let's now get sporty. My name is Karen Kibet. Now, Macrae Kimathi believes his return to the FIA African Rally Championship will work to bolster his junior WRC aspirations. Kimathi will be using this week's ARC Equator Rally to prepare for the WRC Croatia Rally slated for April 21st to 24th. The career account